Hello and welcome to the 15-minute show, part of the Arsenal Therapy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam Keys, and today I am once again joined by Monty. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Adam. How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm not so bad. So yeah, we are pre-recording this show as we're both out tomorrow morning. So we've got some decent topics to get through, some pretty good news coming out on the Arsenal front, and obviously just off the back of the Brentford win. So something I didn't realize was Brentford have only lost 3 games in the last year at home. 2 of those were to Arsenal in the Premier League. Crazy, stat that. So yeah, it kind of sums up just what a win it was at the weekend. But yeah, so how are you feeling ahead of Lens on Wednesday night?
I feel good. I'm hoping there's going to be some rotation. Yeah, I feel good. I think we're in a good stead. We're at home. We win. We secure the group. We secure the top. We're at home. We're at home. I think we're going to get revenge against them because when we played them last, it was no discredit to Lens, but I think we went there with the mentality that we're just going to win by turning up, and Lens humbled us really. So I feel like we should humble them back. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there as well, so it's going to be good to hear the music and the lights.
Oh, definitely. It's that magic of the Champions League anthem. And it's years since I was at the last Champions League game I was at was Arsenal United in the semi-final when United scored that goal, the Ronaldo Rooney part one. And so yeah, it's been a long time for me since I was at the Champions League game, but yeah, it'll be class going to that and just hearing the anthem, everything. So yeah, but I'm similar. I do expect a bit of rotation, probably the core squad remaining the same, kind of what we've seen in the competition so far. Maybe Ben White coming in, get some minutes into his legs, obviously with a month out. I'd be happy to see Odegaard play again, just because, again, he's had a month out. So it's probably one Jorginho maybe comes back in. You never know, maybe he throws Havertz in, just capitalize on that momentum, really get him going. But yeah, all in all, that's a funny one. I was actually thinking about Reece Nelson at the weekend. What do you make of Nelson right now? Where does he sit within this Arsenal squad? Because he's not getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah, for me, he's just purely Saka's backup when he's tired. But the thing that annoys me about Nelson, and I think a lot of people, Arsenal fans, I mean, we want him to do well because he is a high-end product, and there are glimpses or moments that he does just some amazing stuff out of the blue. But I don't know what it is. It's something about him that just doesn't keep his spot. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really take all the opportunities that he gets. But I'm hoping that he can turn a corner. But right now, he's just the backup to Saka. There's no way he's benching him. There's no way he's competing to take him off it. But he's definitely a decent backup to have. He's not terrible. He would go to like a Fulham and start for them. Do you know what I mean? Like he'd be able to go to like a mid-table club and he would start and he would do well. But yeah, so I think he can maybe push on, but he needs to. He's running out of time to do so effectively.
Yeah, he's an interesting one to watch in January as well, because I do wonder if he could be one that ends up moving. We have heard whispers that there could be a player that leaves in January, maybe he'll end one. And Reece Nelson's kind of the bottom of the pecking order of the heel end kids, with Smith Rowe really looking like he was kind of getting back in. And so that'll be a really interesting one there. And he's someone, just purely because I haven't seen enough of him. That's why I think 2 months ago I would have said, yeah, throw him in, let's see what we get. But at the same time, it's one of those, I think, get out there, get the job done, play a strong team, and let's get this game over with. Get the group wrapped up, get the players off. The last thing we want to be doing is chasing the game. So I would imagine we'll go fairly strong. Probably Martinelli starting again. It'd be interesting to see who we go with up front, but Would you start Jesus?
Not really. I just want to. I mean, everyone wants to start a Champions League game. It's at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Jesus should come on and play. I would start Nketiah though. I just think it's a better suited game for him. So I think start Nketiah, bring him off no matter what the result was. Just bring him off 60th minute and put Jesus in just to get some minutes and keep fresh. Because I feel like a player like Jesus, as long as he's playing, he tends to be okay on his fitness. He's like one of those he's like a lorry. Do you know what I mean? Like the motor's just got to keep running. If it's when you off, that's when the issues start. So I think they should both get some minutes. Could even maybe explore and put Jesus on the wing and put Havertz up front. I don't know. Like you said, we might see Havertz starting. You never know. Or perhaps we see something similar to what we saw against Brentford with the sort of Trossard left 8 and Nketiah up front. Because I think Nketiah and Trossard, I think Trossard could probably unlock Nketiah in that role. He's very direct in the way that he likes to search for players, and Nketiah likes to move into weird spaces, and Trossard's quite good at picking him out. So I think it could work. That's just me personally. I mean, people might think I'm wrong, but that's just what I think. I'd like to see Nketiah start.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I worry as well. Jesus had nearly a month out. He came back and flew to Brazil, played 96 minutes against Argentina, comes back on an 11-hour flight and goes straight out against Brentford and didn't have his best game. Now, he was okay, but he did miss a couple of chances and he was scrappy, but I would say that's the biggest compliment I could give him. Whereas we know he can do a lot more. So that would be the only thing I would say. I would rather give Eddie the nod. And also, Eddie's got a very good record at home. And I think getting him a goal in the Champions League isn't going to do anything for his confidence or potentially his price tag if we do move him on at some point. So just letting people see he can do it at that level. But yeah, I think it's one of those, we go out and win this game, and hopefully we humble them, as you say. Mm-hmm. So, but let's move on to some other news. So one of the big stories is Fabrizio Romano and his claims of Arsenal's interest in Victor Osimhen. So that's obviously one that he's going to be the striker next summer. It's going to be kind of him and Mbappe. And Mbappe will probably go to Real Madrid. So it leaves really Arsenal and Chelsea, who are the clubs that need strikers. No one else really needs one. And there's a lot of people, according to Romano, there's a lot of people in his camp would like him to go to Chelsea. However, there is real interest in like the Arsenal project there as well. So it's one of those that what he's saying is basically a move in January is very, very unlikely. Napoli don't want to sell. Napoli are also very difficult to deal with. We've seen over the last kind of 15 years. Getting Cavani out of that club, PSG had to pay a fortune. Higuain, again, Juve paid a lot of money. They don't sell easily. He will have a year left on his contract in the summer. And for me, that's a player we should really be going for. Give me your thoughts on this. We have obviously discussed him in the past, but now that there is kind of somewhat concrete interest, just let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think it's one, it's a compliment to be probably linked with probably the best striker on the market, bar Mbappe. But we've known for years probably Mbappe's going Real Madrid. It just screams Madrid. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Mbappe like get an Henry 2.0 at Arsenal. I'd love to see it. But no, okay, being linked with these players and being in serious conversations, that's good for us. I like the player. I like Osimhen. He's very direct. He's very powerful. He's very quick. He's sharp. He can pretty much do it all. He's someone we need. He's someone we need. Like there are games, like for instance, we were saying on the podcast the other day, that game needed like the Nketiah and Havertz. It needed those players because they need to have that strong physical presence. Jesus is strong. Don't get me wrong. He can hold the ball up and he doesn't get like physically dominated. But he's not tall. He's not a tall presence. He can't get up high in crosses. He can't impose himself aerially. Whereas Osimhen definitely can. And he's lightning quick. I think on a project basis, I think Osimhen is a good fit. Because he can be that target man. He will allow the wingers to become available because he basically draws two man. If you don't double cover Osimhen, you're in for a tough day. With that's just going to allow more freedom for our wingers. So I like it. I would love to see him there. It's just a case of a money perspective. I mean, I get that he's definitely going to be a player that's going to cost 100 million, maybe a little bit more. What I don't want to do is spend maybe like 150 million on him, because it's just silly. Because if I mean, people go, oh, but it's just 120 times 30. That's still 30 million. That's a decent player. Do you know what I mean? That's 30 million pound.
That's what we paid for Zinchenko.
Exactly.
Like, if you think about
that's what I mean. Like, they get you solid players. 30 million is what we got Odegaard for. Do you know what I mean? Like, just a bit under. So, like, you can get solid players, and we're dying for that left eight. So I don't mind if we go in January or the summer, and we only get two players. Because we don't really need, we just have two key points we need, which is that left eight, a striker, and potentially a fullback. But when Timber comes back, it might completely alleviate all of our fears, and we should be up and running again. So I would rather spend big on two key players because we've got the bench. The bench is padded now. The bench is solid. There's depth. We've seen it with the players that we've got now that people can rotate. So yeah, I just want to see a bit more. I feel like Arsenal now, where we're at, and as fans, I want to see more. I want to see world-class signings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to see it. The fans love it. I feel like we're at that stage now in our project where we should be going for these players. And if we're going to listen to Arteta, what he told Willian, 3 years ago now, that he wants to win the Champions League by the time his contract finishes, which would be this year, we should be going for those type of players. What about you? What are your thoughts on the deal?
I love him. I think that my two concerns, I agree with all your points. The only two concerns I have are, one, his injury record's not great. He does miss quite a few games. So he picks up quite a few niggles. Rarely picks up long-term injuries, but it's more of those short 5-6 week max like layoffs, which are obviously a concern. And the other thing
Italian
is,
defenders.
Yeah, at Napoli, he's someone he's a big space runner. He really runs and he really stretches. At Arsenal, he'll be playing deep blocks a lot. However, it is worth noting, teams do attack. You can still score goals on the counter. So all those strengths are things that we've got. And I think just having a player that can get in and around the box, he can score a lot of goals in the box in crowded areas. And he's strong, he's physical, he's fast. Just the speed a player like that can move, it just adds a different dimension to the team. And for me, he's someone, I think, with him fitting the project, he's 24. That's my concern about Ivan Toney. I think Toney's at the level that he will always remain at. And I've seen people say, but Toney gives you most of those finishes. He does, but Osimhen's not anywhere near his peak yet. I think he's someone that we're talking 2, maybe 3 years off. Because if you look at top strikers now, most of them are hitting their peak around 28, 29. And I think that's a consequence of the lone striker role. Because if you think even 15 years ago, strikers were playing as a 2. So you could have a big experienced striker and a fast, nippy, younger player getting in and around. You don't get that anymore. You have to be someone that's physical enough to hold up the ball, bring players into the game, score goals, bully defenders. You have to do so much now as a striker. So that's why I really like him. I think he's someone that you look at strikers and you think, if I was a defender, would I want to play against them? And he's a definite no. And there aren't many strikers on the market that you think he could come up against anyone and come out best. So yeah, I'd be really excited. I think it's one of those, we need to get Arteta in the room with him and get, like he did it with Rice, he did it with Odegaard. Now's the time, work that magic with Victor Osimhen, because if we can get him bought into the project, that's a huge signing. But
if he chooses Chelsea over Arsenal as well, that's just beater mentality, man. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I get it with some of the African connections at Chelsea, the Mikels, Essiens, Drogba, and so on. That's maybe a draw to the club because they're all club legends as well. But let's wait and see. I'd be confident if we finish strong that he would choose us. But But yeah, there's more news that Partey could potentially go in January. What do you think about this one? Do you think he will go, or do you think we'll hang on to him?
Partey, I think he should go. I don't think Edu's going to be silly and just drop him. I think although we've seen in the past he's been very ruthless and he will just drop dead weight. Partey, when he's fit, is probably one of our best players on the pitch. He just
100%.
is. He just is. He's just amazing. So it's not a case of we just need to drop him, and like he's not toxic for the team. In terms of like when we see him play, he's amazing. He brings out the best in him. I think he'll probably try and play it smart and maybe use him as a counterweight, or he'll try and pique some interest from other teams who like I know like Serie A teams like Juventus were looking at him. I mean, my ideal dream transfer would be Partey for Douglas Luiz at Aston Villa. Just swap, maybe a little bit of money on top. That would be my ideal dream.
Well, there was talk today. James Ollie also reported on this, saying that basically the Partey thing is very linked to Douglas Luiz, sorry, and it's one of those that if Partey went, it would give Arsenal more financial clout to be able to move for someone like Douglas Luiz, because the Douglas Luiz one, I don't know about you, but I've got two thoughts on this. One, I think Arsenal have genuine interest. I don't think it will happen yet. And two, I think Fabrizio Romano is trying to peddle engagements right now and build up a bit of a saga around this, because he's kind of the only big one reporting this. So what do you think about, firstly, how much would you take realistically, given Thomas Partey's wages and injury history and age, for him if an offer came in January? And how much or how likely do you think the Douglas Luiz thing is to happen in January?
Yeah, for me personally, in January, at least 25 million, 30 million. Because it's middle of the season. You can say, oh, we don't need him. We do. Because there have been games where we've been screaming for a Partey just to dominate and allow Rice to be enabled to go forward. If a club like a Saudi club, like, I don't know, Al Nassr, they're still trying to chase Al Hilal. They need a midfielder. If you watch their games, like they do need a midfielder. Al Hilal are just flying right now because they got Fabinho and they got Fabinho. Was it Mitrovic, Mane, and who's their other midfielder? They've got a good midfielder. They're just missing like one piece really. Yeah, they're pretty solid. So they could come in, or Al Ittihad. They're missing. I know Al Ittihad's the Fabinho one, isn't it? Yeah, with Benzema. But yeah, 25 million for me. If it's a Premier League club, it should be more. It's got to be at least 35. If it's La Liga, I know they're all poor, so it's probably I'd take 20 million because La Liga teams I don't really care about. But Saudi, we should get more out of him. I wouldn't take less than 20 though. I would no 25. 25. I wouldn't take less than 25. I'd be annoyed if he left for less than 25.
Yeah, 25 is the figure that I've kind of had in my head. I do think it's one of those, if a 25 million offer comes in January and we've got the opportunity, I would also like to think the club had something lined up before they sold him. So that is the other thing. But I think the issue with Thomas Partey is he is too good to be a player that's unavailable as much as he is. Like a Reece Nelson, you can have a Reece Nelson that's only fit half the season because it doesn't matter. You can have other players with injury problems, but a player as good as Thomas Partey, as you say, he's one of our best players. It's at times last season I would have said he was our best player as well. So he is that good, and when he's at his absolute best, he's the best player on every pitch.
No,
that's how good he is.
He dominates like games completely. Like when he's on the pitch, we are a far more composed, dominant team, like completely and utterly, because what he can do at a 6, he can take the ball under immense pressure in the middle of the field, turn a man, and then he'll have 2 people pressing him. He'll turn both of them and then just lay it up to Odegaard or it'll be Rice or Havertz. He can do that. He can, whereas like the Jorginhos can't. Rice can, but when you've got like another 8 who's not quite ticking as like say a Rice would, who if he was in that position and Partey was seeing him, Partey's got unbelievable vision. We've seen it multiple times. I mean, the game that always stands out to me with Partey is that Man United game that we had last season.
When he dominated,
just single-handedly ruined that whole midfield, all of it. Pocketed them,
I was thinking back to
sprayed them.
You know, the 1-0 when we beat Aubameyang scored a penalty, and he absolutely dominated Pogba in midfield and just ran our midfield that day. And like, we were a really bad side then, and he kind of made us all believe. But yeah, one of those for me. I agree. 25 million if we get it in January. I think it's one of those. If an offer came through, I think the club would sell, because I think the club would worry about not getting that offer again.
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's one of those. If he stayed fit to the end of the season, great. They probably could shift him for a decent fee, but the worry is he gets an injury and that's it over. So yeah. But we should wrap it up there. It's thanks. It's been a great show. Thank you to everyone that has joined, and thank you to Monty for joining us. So please hit the like and subscribe button as always, and we will be back with the preview show on Friday. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.